Hey, good afternoon. My name's Ryan, and I want to make a quick video. I've been watching some videos about the gang stuff that's going on and always going on in LA, and thought I'd make a video about homelessness and gangs and where we intersect and how you should be acting it, around it. Uh, First off, it depends on what kind of homeless person you are. If you're a rubber tramp, you're living in your car. You don't look like you're homeless. You don't look like you're part of street life. You just want to stay out of the way, and you don't claim nothing. You don't try to get in anybody's business. Mind your own business, and you'll be fine. If you're like a homeless person that's keeping clean, going to the gym and getting showered, doing laundry, and like you pass through gang territory on your way to the hills to go camping, you're probably not going to have to worry about much. But if you are on the street and you're like a part of the street, it may come up. And I'll just give you an example. Years ago, it's happened a couple of times where I'll be walking down like kind of like an out of the way spot by one of the canals or something like that, and I'll have a guy come up to me like trying to check me, who are you? Who do you represent? Where are you from? And all that stuff. And if people come up like that, you just have to be like, I'm from Indiana. You know, I'm just passing through, man. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. And, uh, and generally, they're not going to give you a hassle. Uh, if you try selling drugs, and it could be anything. It could be just like you're selling bottled water or whatever. They may try to tax you. And if you're in a gang controlled territory and they decide they're going to tax you, you got two options. Three. You can pay them and pay the tax. You can leave or you can fight about it. But you're going to be fighting more than one person if you're at somebody's turf. Uh, there's variations on that theme, but that's just a reality. You know, it really doesn't have a. It's not a traditional American situation, right? But it's a reality on some streets, especially in places in the big cities. But generally, you're going to be left out of it if you keep your nose out of it. And that's another just good general thing on the streets is keep your nose out of other people's business. Now that doesn't mean you see somebody beating on a kid or beating up a woman or something. If you want to do something about it, do something about it. But if you're getting involved in other people's business, you're stepping on their toes, you're working in their territory, it can cause a lot of problems. Uh, and so you got to be aware of where you're at. If you see a lot of gang graffiti, that might not be a place you want to hang out. And if you do, understand that, they might feel some way about you being there. And you're going to have to deal with it one way or another. But taking on a gang isn't generally a good idea. But you are if you're like of the street, if you're on the street and you're begging in their neighborhood, you're getting in fights and hanging out on the street and getting messed up, drinking and whatever else, you are under like street rules, which means you're not supposed to snitch to the police and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a part of the deal. It comes with it. Now they don't expect you to like fight for their gang or anything like that. But if they see you talking to cops and you're in gang territory, don't be surprised if that makes them upset. They're gonna want to know what you're talking to the cops about, or they might just kick your butt just for talking to the cops. So be aware of where you're at and what's going on around you. Keep, mind your own business, uh, and understand that if you're working in a gang's territory and you're making money, they're gonna want something for it. But generally they're all right, and they just, you're just another person that's not involved with their circumstances, then they don't really care that much about you. They don't think that much about you. If you're trying to hang out on the corner they're hanging out at, that's going to be a different story. And you can, oh, I'm American, I'll stand where I want. This is a public sidewalk. Do what you want, but you might get shot or jumped. So just be smart about it. Mind your own business. And know, if you're hustling and somebody else is in a gang's territory, they might feel something about it. And also, you got to understand, depending on where you're at, in California, prison politics are street politics. And prison politics in California are racialized. Now, that doesn't mean when I see a black person walking towards me, even if they're a gang member, that doesn't mean that we've got like a racial beef going on. But it does change the circumstances. If there's two black dudes, let's say from different gangs or something, fighting on the street, and I try getting involved in it, I'm breaking the rules. The rules are like street politics, prison politics in California. You worry about your own race. So if there's a white dude messing up and I'm the only white dude there, I'm supposed to handle him. But if there's a black dude messing up, then a black dude's supposed to handle him. And if there's a Mexican dude messing up, a Mexican dude's supposed to handle him. Now it gets a lot more complicated than that, because whites in prison are aligned somehow with the Sureños or Southerners. And then the black gangs are aligned with the Norteños, I believe. And then you got different groups and stuff. So it's a little bit more complicated than just your own race. But really, it really just comes down to minding your own business. Unless I see a kid or maybe an elderly person or a woman or something getting beat up, like, generally that's not something you want to get involved in. You got to use your judgment, and I don't want to watch somebody getting beat up for nothing, or getting hurt or stabbed or anything. But you got to be careful, because you will pull yourself into street life, gang culture. It can happen real quick, and it can be real ugly. I've been lucky. I've made fairly good decisions involving that. I know some gang people. I know a Norteño. Well, I know a Norteño's brother, and we're cool. I've been over to his house and know his family. So it's not all like black and white and clear cut. Use your judgment. But it's real, and just be smart. You got to make good decisions out here, or it'll eat you up. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate y'all watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Leave a question. Tell me something you want to hear about. Appreciate it. Later. God bless.